My uncle sold our inherited farm to pay his gambling debts, but I exposed his lies in front of the whole family. Now he's begging for forgiveness. The letter from First National Bank sat on my kitchen counter like a ticking bomb. I must have read it 20 times, but the words still didn't make sense. Our family farm, the one my grandparents built from nothing, the one where I spent every summer of my childhood, was apparently in default on a mortgage I didn't even know existed. My name is Peyton, and until that morning, I thought I knew everything about our family's finances. I'm the one who helped Mom with the accounting after Dad passed, the one who tracked every penny we spent on equipment and seeds. But this was completely off the books. My hands were shaking as I dialed Mom's number. "Are you home? We need to talk." "I'm actually heading to the store," Mom said, her voice cheerful. "Can it wait? We still need to plan the menu for Christmas dinner." "No, it can't wait. This is about the farm." There was a pause on the other end. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. While waiting, I paced my small apartment, trying to make sense of it all. The farm had been paid off decades ago. Grandpa made sure of that before he died. The framed mortgage-burning photos still hung in the farmhouse dining room. So where did this new loan come from? Mom arrived wearing her gardening clothes, dirt still fresh on her knees. Her face fell when she saw the letter in my hand. "Where did you get that?" she asked, reaching for it. I pulled it back. "It was delivered here by mistake." "Mom, what's going on? Why is there a mortgage on the farm?" She sank into my couch, suddenly looking older than her 48 years. "Your Uncle Kerry said it was temporary. Just a small business loan to invest in some new equipment." "Uncle Kerry?" My stomach dropped. "What does he have to do with the farm's finances?" "He's been helping manage things since your father passed. You know how good he is with money." "Was good with money?" I corrected her, "before the casino opened in Cedar Rapids." "Peyton, that's not fair. He's your father's brother." I slapped the letter down on the coffee table. "Then explain this. $300,000, Mom. That's not equipment money. That's selling the farm money." Mom's face went pale. "That's impossible. Kerry promised." "When did he ask you to sign for this loan?" She wouldn't meet my eyes. "I didn't sign anything." The room went silent except for the of my refrigerator. "What do you mean you didn't sign anything? Your name is on this letter. Kerry said he'd handle all the paperwork. He just needed my verbal okay." I felt sick. "Mom, that's not how mortgages work. Someone had to sign these documents." My phone buzzed. A text from Uncle Kerry himself. "Family dinner tonight at my place. Important news to share. 6 p.m. I showed Mom the text. Her hands started trembling. He couldn't have." "Oh, I think he could," I said, grabbing my car keys. "And I think we're about to find out exactly what he did." Mom grabbed my arm. "Wait, Peyton. Maybe we should talk to him privately first." "Why? So he can spin another story? Feed us more lies?" I was already heading for the door. "No, Mom, I'm done with secrets. If he has news to share, let's hear it. But I'm bringing this letter with me." "Your cousin Marcus will be there," Mom said, following me. "And Aunt Audrey. Maybe we should wait." "Perfect." I cut her off. "The whole family should hear this. Because if Uncle Kerry did what I think he did, this isn't just about a loan. This is about our legacy. Everything Grandpa and Grandma built." As we drove to Kerry's house, I could see Mom fighting back tears. The farm wasn't just property to us. It was our history, our future, the place where every important family moment had played out. The thought of losing it because of Uncle Kerry's investments made my blood boil. "I should have paid more attention," Mom whispered. "After your father died, it was easier to let Kerry handle things." I reached over and squeezed her hand. "This isn't your fault, Mom, but we're going to fix it. Whatever it takes." We pulled into Kerry's driveway just as Marcus was getting out of his truck. One look at my face, and he knew something was wrong. "Peyton, what's going on?" I held up the bank letter. "We're about to find out. Hope everyone's hungry for a side of truth with dinner." The front door opened, and there stood Uncle Kerry wearing his usual confident smile. But this time, I saw right through it. This time, I was ready for war. Uncle Kerry's dining room felt smaller than usual that night, cramped with tension and unspoken accusations. Aunt Audrey bustled around, setting out her famous pot roast while Kerry held court at the head of the table, acting like everything was normal. "Pass the potatoes, would you, Peyton?" he asked, as if I hadn't been clutching the bank letter like a weapon throughout the entire meal. I slid the bowl across the table without a word. Marcus, sitting next to me, gave my knee a reassuring squeeze under the table. "So," Kerry cleared his throat, "I wanted to gather everyone because I have some exciting news about the farm's future." "Funny you should mention the farm," I said, pulling out the letter. "Care to explain this first?" The room went silent. Aunt Audrey stopped mid-pour with the gravy boat hovering over Kerry's plate. "Where did you get that?" Kerry's smile flickered but didn't quite fade. "Does it matter? What matters is why our farm suddenly has a $300,000 mortgage on it." "Peyton," Aunt Audrey cut in, This is hardly dinner conversation. Actually, Marcus spoke up, I'd like to hear about this too. That farm's been in our family for 3 generations. Carey dabbed his mouth with a napkin, buying time. It's all part of a broader investment strategy. I've been diversifying our assets by gambling away our inheritance. The words shot out before I could stop them. Peyton, Mom gasped. Carey's face darkened. I don't appreciate what you're implying. Then explain the mortgage. Show us these amazing investments you've made. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you forged Mom's signature to take out a loan on property that isn't even yours. Aunt Audrey slammed her hand on the table. How dare you accuse your uncle? I have proof, I said, pulling out more papers from my bag. The bank confirmed Mom never appeared in person to sign these documents. So either you hired a very talented forger uncle, Carey, or you did it yourself. Carey stood up slowly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. You're out of line, young lady. I've managed this family's finances for years. And how many trips to the Riverside Casino have you made this month? Marcus asked quietly. Because I saw your car there last weekend and the weekend before. The color drained from Carey's face. I was meeting business associates. At the blackjack tables, I pressed. Or was it poker this time? Carey? Aunt Audrey's voice had lost its edge of certainty. What are they talking about? He spread his hands in a placating gesture. Look. I've made some strategic investments that will benefit everyone. The farm's value has been sitting stagnant for years. I found a way to make it work for us. By selling it, I pulled out one final document, a real estate listing I discovered online. Were you going to tell everyone before or after you closed the deal? Mom started crying softly. Marcus cursed under his breath. Even Aunt Audrey looked shocked. It's not what you think, Carey insisted, but his voice had gone hoarse. The buyer is offering well above market value. We could all have a fresh start. That farm is our fresh start, I cut him off. It's our heritage, our home. You had no right. Just then, Carey's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and I caught a glimpse of the caller ID. Lucky Sevens Management. Excuse me, he muttered, heading for the hallway. I need to take this. Of course you do, I called after him. Another business associate? The conversation from the hallway was muffled but clear enough. Yes, I'll have it by Friday. No need to send anyone. I said I'll handle it. When he returned, his confident facade had crumbled completely. Dinner's over. I think you should all leave. This isn't over, Carey, I said, gathering my things. Not by a long shot. As we filed out, Mom lingered behind with her brother. I heard her say softly, "How could you do this to us?" His response chilled me to the bone. You don't understand what's at stake here, Laurel. Some things can't be undone. In the driveway, Marcus grabbed my arm. You know, this is just the beginning. Right? Carey won't go down without a fight. Good, I replied, watching my uncle through the window as he paced still on his phone, because neither will I. Mom emerged from the house, wiping her eyes. What do we do now? I hugged her tight, my mind already racing with plans. Now we dig deeper. Because if there's one thing I learned tonight, it's that Uncle Carey is hiding way more than just gambling debts. As we drove away, I caught one last glimpse of Carey in my rearview mirror. He was watching us leave, his phone still pressed to his ear, looking more like a cornered animal than the uncle I once trusted. This was war, and I intended to win. You're not going to believe what I found, Marcus said, spreading papers across my kitchen table the next morning. He'd spent the night digging through county records, and the dark circles under his eyes showed it. Show me everything, I said, sliding him a cup of coffee. So the mortgage isn't the only thing Carey's been hiding. Look at these property transfers. He pointed to a series of documents. He's been selling off parcels of the farm piece by piece for the last 8 months. My coffee cup froze halfway to my mouth. That's impossible. We would have noticed not if he kept the original boundaries intact on paper. He's been selling usage rights, mineral rights, anything he could parcel off without changing the official property lines. A knock at the door made us both jump. It was my sister, Reese, looking skeptical as ever. Mom told me you're on some crusade against Uncle Carey, she said, dropping her purse on the counter. Don't you think you're overreacting? I gestured to the papers. Take a look for yourself. As Reese scanned the documents, her expression shifted from doubt to disbelief. These signatures, they look like Mom's, but they're forgeries, Marcus confirmed. Good ones, but definitely fake. Look at the loop on the L. Mom always extends hers. I still can't believe Uncle Carey would do this, Reese muttered. He helped me pay for college. With whose money? I asked pointedly, because I'm starting to wonder if any of his generosity actually came from him. Marcus pulled out his phone. That's not all. Remember that business trip he took to Vegas last month? I found these on his social media. The photos showed Carey at various casino tables, stacks of chips in front of him. In one particularly damning image, he was shaking hands with someone whose jacket clearly showed the Lucky Sevens logo. I need to check something, I said, heading to my bedroom. I returned with a small box of papers I'd grabbed from Carrie's study during the chaos of last night's dinner. You stole from his office? Reese looked horrified. I borrowed evidence, I corrected her, dumping the contents onto the table. And look what we have here. Among credit card statements and receipts was a hotel bill from the Lucky Sevens Resort and Casino, but it wasn't the amount that caught my attention. It was the handwritten note in the margin. Payment plan discussed with Tony, $50K month until squared. $50,000 a month? Marcus whistled. That's not gambling money. That's loan shark territory, I finished. No wonder he's selling everything that isn't bolted down. Reese sank into a chair. This is bad, isn't it? Like, really bad? It gets worse, Marcus said, pulling up another document on his laptop. I found the buyer for the farm. It's a shell company owned by guess who? Lucky Sevens Management Group. My blood ran cold. They're not buying the farm. They're taking it as payment. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Carrie's here. Says he can explain everything. Please come over. I showed the message to Marcus and Reese. You thinking what I'm thinking? That he knows we're on to him? Marcus stood up, gathering the papers. Definitely. I'm coming with you, Reese announced, surprising me. I want to hear him try to talk his way out of this. We drove to Mom's house in tense silence. When we arrived, Carrie's expensive SUV was in the driveway looking out of place next to Mom's old sedan. Through the window, we could see them in the kitchen. Carrie was gesturing animatedly while Mom sat at the table, her face in her hands. Ready? I asked, my hand on the door handle. Wait. Reese grabbed my arm. Look, a black luxury car pulled up across the street. Two men in suits stepped out but didn't approach the house. They just stood there watching. Lucky Sevens welcoming committee, Marcus muttered. This isn't just about the farm anymore, is it? Reese's voice shook slightly. I squared my shoulders. No, it's not, but that doesn't change anything. We're going in there, and we're going to make Uncle Carrie tell us exactly what kind of mess he's gotten our family into. As we walked to the door, I could feel the suited men's eyes on us. Whatever Carrie had gotten himself into, it was bigger and more dangerous than I'd imagined. But turning back wasn't an option, not with our family's legacy on the line. I took one last look at the men across the street, then opened the door. The sound of Carrie's desperate explanation spilled out into the morning air along with Mom's quiet sobs. Time to find out just how deep this rabbit hole went. The kitchen fell silent as we walked in. Carrie stood by the sink, his expensive suit wrinkled, looking like he hadn't slept. Mom sat at the table, tissues scattered around her. Well, if it isn't the amateur detective squad, Carrie said, attempting his usual smirk but failing. Cut the act, I snapped. Who are your friends outside? His face twitched. What friends? The two guys in suits watching the house, Marcus said. They were Lucky Sevens. Carrie's attempt at composure crumbled. You don't understand what you're dealing with. None of you do. Then explain it, Mom pleaded. Tell us the truth, Carrie. All of it. Before he could answer, Aunt Audrey burst through the back door. Carrie, I just got a call from the bank. They're saying our house is being used as collateral for. She stopped short when she saw all of us. Your house too. I turned to Carrie. Just how much have you leveraged? I had a system, he said, pacing now. It was working. I was up almost $500,000 at one point. Until you weren't, Marcus finished. Carrie slumped against the counter. Tony, he runs the high-stakes room at Lucky Sevens. He said he'd give me time to pay it back, but then the interest started piling up. So you sold pieces of our farm, I said. Forged Mom's signature. And when that wasn't enough, you decided to sell the whole thing? Aunt Audrey gasped. Carrie, tell me that's not true. A knock at the front door made everyone freeze. Through the window, I saw one of the suited men standing on the porch. Don't, Carrie warned as I moved toward the door. They're not here for a friendly chat. But another figure appeared behind the suited man, Willie, our old family friend and retired lawyer. I opened the door. Morning, Peyton, Willie said calmly. Thought I might find everyone here. He nodded to the suited man. You can tell Tony I'm handling this now. The man hesitated, then retreated to his car. Willie. Carrie started. This isn't shut up, Carrie. Willie cut him off, entering the kitchen. I've known your family 30 years. Watched you kids grow up. Never thought I'd see the day one of you would betray your own blood like this. He set his briefcase on the table and pulled out a folder. Lucky for everyone, I've been keeping my own records ever since I noticed unusual activity on the farm's property listings. You knew? Mom asked. I suspected, Willie replied. Been gathering evidence just in case, including security footage from Lucky Sevens showing Carrie here making some very interesting deals. Carrie went pale. You can't. Can't what? Show how you've been laundering money through the casino? Using the farm to cover illegal loans? Willie's voice was steel. Try me. Aunt Audrey started crying. Carrie, what have you done? I can fix this, Carrie insisted. Just need a little more time. Time's up, I said, pulling out my phone. Those property transfers you made? I sent them to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division this morning. The room went dead quiet. You didn't, Carrie whispered. I did. And you know what they found really interesting? The connection between Lucky Seven's management and certain offshore accounts. Marcus stepped forward. Face it, Uncle Carrie. It's over. Carrie's phone buzzed. His hand shook as he read the message. Tony's pulling out of the deal, says it's too hot now. He looked up desperate. Do you know what they'll do to me? Should have thought of that before you gambled away our heritage, I said. Willie opened his briefcase again. There's a way to minimize the damage, but you'll have to come clean about everything. And the farm? Mom asked quietly. The sales can be reversed, Willie assured her. Carrie's forgeries make them legally void, but he looked at Carrie. You'll have to testify against Lucky Sevens. They'll kill me, Carrie protested. They won't, Willie said. Because by this afternoon, the FBI will have their entire operation. You're small fish, Carrie, but only if you cooperate now. I watched my uncle, the man who'd once taught me to ride a bike, who'd given speeches at family gatherings about the importance of legacy, crumble into a chair. Okay, he whispered. Okay. As Willie started making calls, Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Outside, the black car finally pulled away. What happens now? Reese asked. I looked around at my family, broken but not destroyed, shaken but still standing. Now we rebuild together. Through the window, I could see the distant fields of our farm still there. Still ours. Whatever came next, we'd face it as a family, minus one uncle who'd learned the hard way that betrayal carries a price. The next few days passed in a blur of FBI interviews and legal meetings. I sat in Willie's office surrounded by stacks of documents when he dropped another bombshell. There's something else you need to see, Willie said, sliding a weathered envelope across his desk. Found this in your grandparents' old safety deposit box. Inside was a letter dated just before my grandfather's death. As I read it, my hands started shaking. Is this what I think it is? I asked. Willie nodded. A trust agreement. Your grandfather never fully transferred the farm's ownership to Carrie's generation. He set up a family trust instead, which means Carrie never had the right to sell it in the first place, I finished. The door opened and Marcus rushed in. You need to see this now. He pulled up a video on his phone, security footage from Lucky Sevens showing Carrie in what looked like a back room shaking hands with several men in suits. Where did you get this? Willie asked, leaning forward. Anonymous email. But look at the timestamp. This was 3 months before Grandpa died. I felt sick. He was planning this even then. It gets worse, Marcus said. Look who else is in the frame. He zoomed in on a familiar face in the background. Aunt Audrey. She knew, I whispered. She knew everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Audrey's packing up their house. Says they're taking a trip. They're running, Marcus said. Willie was already dialing. Not if I can help it. He spoke quickly into the phone then turned to us. FBI's on their way to Carrie's house, but we need to get there first. There might be documents they could destroy. We raced to Carrie's place, arriving just as Aunt Audrey was loading suitcases into her car. Going somewhere, I called out. She froze. Just taking a break after everything that's happened. Save it, Marcus cut in. We saw the video, Audrey, from the casino. Her face hardened. You don't understand. We were trying to save the family. By stealing from it? I stepped closer. By betraying everything Grandpa built? Your grandfather was old-fashioned, she spat. Sitting on all that wealth, letting it rot in those fields. Carrie had vision. Vision? I pulled out the trust agreement. Is that why you helped him plan this before Grandpa even died? The sound of sirens cut through the air. Audrey's eyes went wild. She lunged for her car, but Marcus blocked her path. Move, she screamed. No, he said firmly. No more running. FBI agents swarmed the driveway. Through the chaos, I saw Carrie trying to slip out the back door. He locked eyes with me for a moment, then raised his hands as agents surrounded him. Mrs. Diaz, an agent approached Audrey. We need you to come with us. As they led them both away, Willie arrived with Mom and Reese. The trust agreement changes everything, Willie said. The farm was never legally Carrie's to sell. We can void all transactions immediately. Mom stared at her brother and sister-in-law being placed in separate cars. How long? She asked quietly. How long were they planning this? Based on the evidence, Willie sighed. Since before your father got sick, they were just waiting for the right moment. Reese hugged Mom tight. At least it's over now. But something still nagged at me. I walked into Carrie's house, now swarming with FBI agents. In his study, I noticed something odd. A family photo hanging slightly crooked. Behind it was a small safe. We'll need to get that opened, an agent said. Try 11-2263, I suggested. Grandpa's birthday. Carrie always used it for everything. The safe clicked open. Inside were more documents, but one caught my eye. A letter from Grandpa to Carrie, never sent. "My dear son," it began, "I know what you're planning. Remember that true wealth isn't in money or land. It's in the trust we place in each other. Don't make me regret placing mine in you." He had known. All along,